What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a new episode of Model Airplane Showdowns. I'm your host, Ray, and in this, guys, today we have another competition between the two giants in model airliner manufacturing, Gemini Jets and NG Model. Today's aircraft is the 1:400 scale Alaska Airlines Airbus A321NEO. Both models will compete today for one prize. Which is the best? Our first contender comes in from Gemini Jets. Released in 2019, we'll see if the early bird gets the worm. Gemini's challenger for today is NG Model. Released in 2023, let's see if their model is truly next generation. For this competition, each model will be tested against the following categories. Each of the 11 categories has a maximum earning potential of 5 points, making a maximum final score of 55 points. The model to earn the highest number of points wins the competition. Tower to aircraft, the skies are clear, all systems go. Begin the showdown! Let's push back and start with size. Both manufacturers don't quite get the size right, each of them overshooting the length and height by a few millimeters, while undershooting the wingspan to some degree. Overall, Gemini gets the size slightly more correct than NG. For the size category, Gemini earns a 4, NG earns a 3. Taxiing on to the fuselage. The Gemini model has a decent fuselage overall, but the nose shape is incorrect. The shape of the lower nose is too flat. Everything else looks good. The NG model has an excellent fuselage. All shapes look correct and accurate. Additionally, the nose shape is almost perfect. For the fuselage category, Gemini earns a 4, NG earns a 5. Lifting off with the wings. Gemini Jets need some retooling with their wings. They have a good amount of detail, but that's about it. The wing flex is too high, and the wings aren't even symmetrical. The left wing is angled higher than the right wing. The sharklets are angled too high as well. They should not be perpendicular to the ground. This may be a result of the high wing flex. The shape of the sharklet is incorrect as well. They should be slightly taller, and the top edge of the sharklet should not be rounded. NG model does a better job with their wings. There is a good amount of detail on the wings, just like the Gemini model. Additionally, the wing flex is correct, but NG also falters on their sharklets, angling them too high. One sharklet is even bent inwards. The shape of the sharklets themselves is correct though. For the wings, Gemini earns a 2, NG earns a 4. We interrupt this showdown to address a concern that some of you may have by now. Earlier, you may have noticed that both models have slightly different sharklet designs. So, which one is accurate? Both of them. But how? While these models are replicas of the same aircraft flown by the same airline, they are replicas of different airplanes. The Gemini model is a replica of tail registration November 928 Victor Alpha, while the NG model is a replica of tail registration November 921 Victor Alpha. Both aircraft had slight differences in their markings in real life. As a result, the replicas will have slightly different markings as well. Take a look at the sharklets. There is more gray space underneath the paint design for the sharklet on the Gemini model than on the NG model. This is an accurate detail. November 928 Victor Alpha had this design on its sharklets. November 921 Victor Alpha had sharklets with less gray space under the paint design on the sharklet. As the video progresses, you may be able to spot more subtle differences. I will only point them out if necessary. If not mentioned, then it is an accurate detail. Now, we will return to your regularly scheduled programming. Thank you. Staying on course with the vertical stabilizer. Both models have good vertical stabilizers, but each of them has its faults. The vertical stabilizer on the Gemini model has a top section that is too short. Aside from that, it's made pretty well. The NG model vertical stabilizer has more recessed line details on it, but the gap between the rudder and the fuselage is too large. For the vertical stabilizer, both models earn 4s. Keeping it level with the horizontal stabilizers. Gemini Jets falls behind with their horizontal stabilizers. The stabilizers themselves are great. Where Gemini loses points is the large unpainted seam gap where the stabilizer attaches to the fuselage. Additionally, the stabilizers are angled too high. NG model does an excellent job with their horizontal stabilizers. They feature plenty of accurate details and they are fitted correctly and securely to the fuselage. For the horizontal stabilizers category, Gemini earns a 3, NG earns a 5. Powering ahead with the engines. Bird strike. Gemini suffers with the engines on their model. The engine cowling is too large, resulting in very little ground clearance. Additionally, the pylon appears to be missing some printed details. The NG model takes a hit in the engine department as well. While they get the shape and details correct, the detail on the pylon is printed too low. The engine strakes are also angled too far. For the engines category, Gemini earns a 2, NG earns a 3. Let's talk about aerial details. Gemini Jets features a healthy selection of aerial details. However, the sat dome is incorrectly shaped when compared to the real aircraft. There is also a missing antenna at the bottom of the aircraft. NG does their aerial details right, featuring antennae and a sat dome. The shapes of both the antennae and the sat dome are accurate and done well. All antennae that need to be present are present. For aerial features, Gemini earns a 3, NG earns a 5. Drop the gear. Gemini Jets blows a tire with their landing gear. The nose gear is bent backwards instead of forwards. The nose gear strut itself is what the model rests on, not the nose wheels like it should. The main gears are a bit better though, mounted correctly and accurately detailed. Even though all 3 sets of wheels on this model are designed to roll, none of them do. NG model does things right once again. The nose gear is angled slightly forwards, accurate to the A320 family. The main gears are done correctly as well. All 3 landing gears feature excellent detail and wheels that roll smoothly. For the landing gear, Gemini earns a 3, NG chalks themselves another 5. Time for a trip to the paint shop. Gemini Jets does a solid job in paint application. All colors and designs are accurate. There are a few imperfections present in the paint job, including dents and splotches, but none of them are too significant. NG model does an excellent job in their paint application. All colors and designs are accurate, and there are virtually no imperfections in the paint application. For the paint application category, Gemini earns a 4, NG earns a 5. Going in close and looking at printed detail. Gemini Jets put a lot of printed detail into their model, and overall it's decent. Some of it has chips and small imperfections. However, Gemini tanks their score in this department with the cockpit windows. They are tilted and deformed. The center windows are crunched. It looks like the model is frowning. Meanwhile, NG also features a ton of printed detail on their model. None of it seems to have any imperfections, and all of it is accurate. For printed details, Gemini earns a 3, NG earns another 5. This showdown has been rather interesting, but now it's time for the final category, quality. The Gemini Jets model suffers in quality. Bad assembly, paint imperfections, and printing anomalies go to show that quality wasn't really a priority on this model. The NG model has solid quality, but a few imperfections in the shapes here and there show that there is still room for improvement. For the quality category, Gemini earns a 3, NG earns a 4. And now, the final results of today's showdown. The winner of Best Prize today is... NG model, chalking up an impressive score of 49 out of 55 points or an 89% overall. NG reminds us who's boss when it comes to making model airplanes. Today's runner-up is Gemini Jets with a score of 36 out of 55 points or a 66% overall. They really need some improvement on their 1 to 400 scale Airbus A320 family models. Looks like both models have touched down, marking the end of today's showdown. Even though we found a clear winner today, both models are works of art, and there is something to appreciate from both of them. Now for a personal note from your host, Ray. I fully expected the NG model to win this one, but I didn't think the score difference would be so great. It's no lie that the 1 to 400 scale A320 family mold that Gemini uses isn't great, but if they're going to use a subpar mold, they can at least put some effort into making sure the quality is consistent. Thankfully, we collectors have the option to choose between the two companies. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Which model would you prefer? I definitely want to hear your opinions. Like this video, comment your feedback and thoughts, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my reviews or showdowns. Stay tuned for more model airplane content. Happy building, happy collecting, take care of yourselves, See you next time.